Welcome to Beyond Six Figures, the podcast that helps business coaches to micro-niche, get noticed, and become fully booked. Learn from top industry leaders who've successfully taken their businesses and their lives beyond six figures. Get ready to level up your coaching business and make this world a better place, one business at a time. And now, here's your host, Ziv Raviv.
Welcome to Beyond Six Figures. Our guest today is Tracy Litt, founder of the School of Becoming. Tracy is an international best-selling author. Her book, Worthy Human, is worthy of your attention. She's a TEDx speaker, the creator of the NeuroIdentity evolution methodology. After a corporate career as an HR executive, Tracy built a seven-figure coaching business and now helps high-achieving women evolve their identity, step into effortless success, and dramatically increase client retention. In this conversation today, we'll talk about client retention and our biggest growth driver, the role of identity in business scaling. And I hope you'll take a lot of practical tips from today's call. Hello, Tracy Litt. It's great to have you here with us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
There's so many questions I have about worthy human. What does it mean, worthy? How do you become worthy? Because you have a very strong hook and opinion and knowledge that you share in your book. But before we go there, we just want to get to know you a little bit. What's your origin story? How did you get to where you are now?
So I got to where I am now because I realized I was living in my unworthy identity. I realized I was living in the lie of unworthiness. And I found myself a single mother with an 8-month-old daughter, which no one strives to have a child and then end up single with that child. And I noticed in that moment when I was that single mother with my 8-month-old, who's now 21 years old, that I was being a victim of my life. I was trying to squeeze a round hole into a square peg. I was ignoring red flags that were smacking me in the face because I didn't perceive myself as whole and worthy. And as a result of that, I tolerated and I allowed less than in my relationships, in how I showed up for myself, in my aspirations, in my career, my impact in the world. And it was that moment where my higher self, my whole worthy identity showed up to let me know that basically if I continued the trajectory that I was on, I was always going to live in victimhood. But if I allowed myself to show up differently for me and my little baby, then and choose differently and let her lead, right? That evolved higher self, evolved version of me, then I would be able to experience everything I desire. And that's exactly what happened. And I started to learn how to let her lead and how to realize that the unworthiness, the not enoughness is the lie for all of us. And the truth is we don't actually become worthy. We are worthy when we're born. Then life happens all over us and we forget. And it's part of our job to remember the truth.
So I want to tackle into the details of this because this is fascinating. I always say that I love the statement like we are all okay. We're all worthy of needs and wants. And there's a lot of power in that understanding. But when you say we are all worthy, doesn't that make us entitled to some degree? Or where is the line? Where does the line go that protects us from being worthy but not being entitled?
So what's interesting is I see those things as completely different, like as different as zebras and apples, right? Like that's how different they are. Our worthiness, because we are energetic spiritual beings having a human experience. That's what's scientifically factual. And our worthiness, our wholeness, our enoughness is part of our birthright. And what's important about that is so many of us waste our lives playing the not enough game. And then we shrink and we don't show up and we don't make it beyond six figures. We don't do the things that we say we want to do. We don't honor our worth. We tolerate relationships beneath us. We don't show up. We don't shine our light. And that's not honoring the gift of our life, right? We are a piece of God or the universe, whatever you believe in. And it's our job to show up and shine and take up space and make our impact. We are 1 in 400 trillion, right? That's the odds of us being us. So it's recognizing, okay, what Tracy's teaching me here is I'm already whole, I'm already worthy. And the limitation and the not enoughness story is a byproduct of my programming and my conditioning. There's that. Now, whether or not you are someone who perceives that you are entitled is a whole different game. And that has a lot to do with proving energy and ego, which is completely different than saying, oh, wait, I'm already whole. Now I can show up and use my voice and grow my business and honor my marriage and be a more profound parent.
So in other words, as soon as you're born, you're already worthy of shining a light in this world, of bringing your gift to this world, of fulfilling your potential. And when we tell ourselves that we're not worthy, that we're not enough, we're actually stopping ourselves from fulfilling our calling. And in a way, it all starts with a choice. And
all of it.
And I think that you make that choice for yourself in difficult circumstances, and you didn't stay in victimhood. You could have chosen to stay in victimhood. You chose, that was easier probably. Yes. You chose to take action. You chose to take a lot of action actually, and build and write a book and show up in people's lives and change people's lives. So I want to ask you a little bit more about this idea of the choice, because you actually have created a program around the choice method. Tell me more about that.
Yes, thank you so much. So I love where you just went with this. Everything's a choice. And when you realize that you are in fact worthy and whole, then you can allow yourself to say, wow, everything is a choice. I am the cause of the effect. I am the common denominator in everything that's happening in my life and my business. But when you don't feel worthy, you can't take that level of personal responsibility because you think it's going to mean something bad about you. But when you know that you're already whole, then you get to, that's power, because then you get to say, oh, I am choosing it. And I can literally choose my way. It's like choose your own adventure. I can choose my way into everything I'm working so hard for and into everything I say I want. So the choice method is this incredible method. It's part of our intellectual property that I created over my journey. It's like a lot of people would say, well, how did you become who you've become? So I reverse engineered it into a method, right? And when we talk about choice, there's two things that are critically important. Number one, a new choice represents change. And you know who hates change? Your nervous system. And you know who's the command center of everything you're experiencing? Your nervous system. So when we're making a new choice, we must recognize that that means moving into something unfamiliar and unknown, right? So in order to choose effectively, we have to work at the level of the nervous system. The second thing about choice that's essential is that you can't make the choices anymore because your current identity keeps screwing you over. You keep getting in the way. You keep blocking things. Who needs to make the choice? Like I said in my origin story when I shared that, he or she or they need to make that choice. The next level version of you that's already beyond 6 figures. That person moves differently. They choose differently. So the choice method is the only method in the personal, spiritual development and peak performance industry that weaves in the 4 neurobiological requirements for change, which is noticing, then working at the level of your nervous system to make it safe, because I just taught you that a new choice means unfamiliar and your nervous system hates that. And then being able to tap into that future version of you that already lives in that reality that you're working for. And the choice that's made, Ziv, is their choice, not your choice. You have to let that next level version of you lead. And that's what the choice method does.
I love it. And I want to just mention that your work on helping people make a choice in their life and take action as a result of that choice. And I might even say, in my words, make that choice over and over and over again every single day has actually your work has resulted with some very impressive stories of very successful women that pointed a finger at the choice method as a catalyst, as a vehicle, that super fuel, if you will, that helped them actually reach some very yummy results. Would you be willing to share with us a few of those stories, of success stories of people that went through this with you?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a client named Julie who had been doing personal development work for 15 years. She already was quite successful. However, she was holding back on the truth of how big she wanted to play, on how bold her ideas really were. And after using the choice method, she realized how much fear was present, because the thing about fear is that it doesn't always feel like fear. Fear shows up like lack of clarity. Fear shows up as I don't know. Fear shows up as confusion. Fear shows up as I don't feel like I'm ready yet. And once she was able to realize that and then use the method, she has since exponentially grown, yes, her success in her business, but more importantly, her self-expression. The relationship she's in is more nurturing because she's showing up as the full version of her, right? Then we have another beautiful client. Her name is Taryn. She was an extremely accomplished orthodontist in America, and she had physical practices. She came through the work. She decided to sell those practices because the work worked so well for her. And now she exclusively does growth work with women dentists and orthodontists. And it has resulted in her becoming like a completely different version of herself, and also honoring more of what her deep calling was, right? It was almost like dentistry was step one, and then taking this deeper in the world was step two. We've had women become top 500 in global companies, raise their revenues by 10%, 20%, 30%. I would say the thing that is always astonishing to me about our client results is I could tell you all the external ones all day. They've done TED Talks, they've written books, all those things, and I love it. But here's what's really cool and what matters. They feel safe in their bodies. They trust themselves. They show up and honor what is aligned for them. They set boundaries. They stop people pleasing and controlling. And to me, that's the biggest success story.
What would you say to a woman or a person that is considering this journey? She's considering to accept that she's worthy, to accept that she can actually make a choice, but she just doesn't have those habits. She doesn't put in the reps. She's not actually putting, and she knows it. She knows that this is like something that is hard for her. She's not afraid of, in this specific scenario, she's not afraid of maybe she is afraid, but she claims that she's just afraid that she will fail in putting in the work. Mm-hmm. So how would you support her? What would you tell her?
Two things. That is not you. That is your mind offering you thoughts of limitation to keep you from changing. All of those things that you just expressed are thoughts of the mind and the nervous system, and the mind and the body is the nervous system. So what happens when we start to think about change, which is what this conversation represents, the mind's always going to offer you, oh, but I don't know. And what if I fail and I don't know how to do this? And this isn't for me, or maybe later, or maybe tomorrow. And if we believe our minds, then we stay exactly where we've been. Okay. So that's the first thing. There's nothing wrong with you. This is the neurobiology that you have to learn so that you can create a satiating, fulfilled, successful life. Right. And the other thing I want to say is that failure is the only way we succeed. But really, everybody likes to talk a good game. I fail forward, or I'm fine with failure. But when it comes down to it, you're not actually moving. So failing is the only way to succeed. We hear this from anyone that we like to listen to. Anyone that has success or influence in the world will tell you, I have failed so many more times than I've succeeded. But something in us doesn't want to believe that, right? Because we're afraid, which is why so many things come back to fear, which is why my TED Talk is on fear. because I realized that this was such a block for everybody. And it's like, wait a minute, but it's just your biology. So that's what I would say to this one.
I love it. I love it. I want to shift gears to talk a little bit about your day-to-day, your week. You've established your ground. You have multiple ways of how you support people through the book and the choice method. And I want to know, what are the efforts you put in to be the lighthouse, to attract people to you and to basically grow your impact in this world?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So the first thing and the most important thing is I deeply honor and prioritize my relationship to myself, which means I move my body. I feel my feelings. I treat myself like the energy that I am, because without doing that, I'm not available to serve at the level that I serve at, right? And I'm not available to love and show up like the lighthouse. So it's really important that we know this. And it's not exactly how any of us were raised. Prioritizing yourself, prioritizing movement, my sleep, things that feel so obvious, right? My nutrition, drinking enough water. Like today, I have a huge masterclass tonight. My whole afternoon, I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to take a walk, right? I'm not sitting and grinding because that's not helpful. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it is I serve without ego. So if I have a client session in person or virtual or a group session, I remove myself and I practice being the vessel. Okay. Our service is not about us. I happen to be in this body called Tracy Litt, but ultimately I'm a vessel that is here to deliver and support and hold other people into their greatness. So I serve from a level of heart and absence of ego that helps our clients feel immediately seen and held. And then the other thing is I do the work, which means doing things I don't want to do, right? Sitting down and having the different meetings that I have to have, or there are so many things that happen where you're like doing the reps of making the choice again and again, but nobody's there to clap for you. You got to get really, really good at those kind of moments, because then you turn around and you have a big outcome.
I love how many of the things you mentioned that you choose to do, everyone can do them. Everyone can actually look into themselves and understand that they're impacting their own energy when they're not spending their energy at themselves in building up these feelings of safety, of worthiness, of fun and enjoyment, of passion. And I think you really emphasized the importance of that. I want to ask you, at this moment in time when we're recording this, I know these type of things change, but I'm really impressed at your operations. Everything looks so good. So I want to ask you right now, what does your team look like?
Right now, my team looks like I have an executive assistant and client success manager that's been with me for 6 years. She's amazing. I have a director of coaching, which does a lot of our coaching calls in our groups. I do some of them, but she does, I'd say 75% of them. I have a marketing team for things like social media and the podcast and strategy. And I have a designer that helps with graphics and making sure that the brand looks the way that we need it to look. So that's really our core team right now in this moment.
And tell me more about your strategy and the type of results you expect to get or you're getting from your podcast.
So the podcast is something I actually was just on a sabbatical, so we haven't given a new episode in a little while. But for me, the podcast is an opportunity to talk one-to-one, because a podcast is a very personal experience, right? Just like right now, beautiful listener, we're in your ears and it's just us and you. And it's this really great intimate experience. So my intent with the podcast is to be able to have solo episodes where I can say whatever I want to say and really share things so that my listener, so that we're in this together, because I know, I believe we are all in this together. And the podcast feels like that. I love the podcast to have great conversations with other women leaders and entrepreneurs that are doing fabulous things in the world. So that's really my two intents with the podcast. And of course, to grow our audience, my intent is that every woman entrepreneur at any level of her impact thinks of the School of Becoming when she knows it's time to do the internal work, right? When something's going on inside, that instantly the School of Becoming is what she thinks of.
You have a red tape, a type of client that if they ask you, hey, can you work with me one-on-one, you would consider and say, I'm sorry, I'm not a good fit for you.
So I have one-to-one offerings, and I only take clients that I know I can serve. 100%. I've always been that way. It is one of the values of our company is highest service of the client. And highest service of the client actually means highest service of the client, not revenue of the company. So I have said no if it's not a good fit and sent people out to referral. I have exited people from programs and given them their money back without them asking because I've noticed this isn't exactly where you need to be. And if you're going to be at highest service means what does this beautiful human being need to get to where they want to go? And to me, that's integrity.
I love it. We call this transformational work in our company. It's one of our values as well.
Yeah.
If it's not transformational, we don't want to keep the relationship. We want to make sure that we only accept people that we can be transformational for them. And I love how you phrased it as well, like highest service. That's beautiful. Tracy Litt, you sure have lit my day. Where can people go to learn more about your work?
Thank you. theschoolofbecoming.com is the best place to go. And if you like social media, at the Tracy Litt on Instagram.
And we'll put a link to that on our show notes. That's Lit with double T. And thank you so much, Tracy, for taking the time to connect. Enjoy your bath and your workshop. And thank you, everyone, for listening for another episode of Beyond Six Figures.
Thanks for listening to Beyond Six Figures. Check out the extended show notes that include bonus material, practical tips, and exclusive resources on our website, zivraviv.com. Until next time, keep dreaming big and pushing your business and your life beyond six figures.